What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. This is the Bitcoin December analysis video. At the beginning of every single month, I do these analysis videos where we predict, based on historical references, what we could see throughout each given month. The past 3 months in a row now, I've been doing this. This is the fourth month, and I would say that, while I haven't gotten, my calls haven't been exactly accurate the past 3 months. You can go back and watch any of those videos and find that they're not 100% right, but 90%. I think I'm being more than fair to say they've been 90% or more correct. Right? These month-to-month analysis videos seem to play off very well. As far as predictions go. So I'm excited to see what we come up with by the end of this video, and I've actually run through some numbers so that we can get through a lot of the boring stuff. Hopefully this video doesn't take as long as it normally does. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get moving through it, guys. So what I did was I went through and I analyzed, I recorded every single December that we've ever had in Bitcoin's history, and I got 7 green Decembers, 4 red Decembers, and 4 neutral Decembers, right? All of them are red or green. How do you get a neutral month, right? You might ask. I've defined that myself as a month that opens and closes with a less than 10% move to the upside or the downside. So, like this month here, you had a negative 3% month, open to close. I would define that as a neutral month. Yes, it is red, but I would define it as a neutral month. So all of Bitcoin's life, 4 red Decembers, 4 neutral Decembers, and 7 green Decembers. So the statistical probability that December is going to be green is there, right? It's there more so than it would be red. Now I did that first, just the general analysis, but then I went through and I specifically analyzed only Decembers that were in bull markets, right? None that were in the bear markets, just the bull markets. Although I actually did take the red December that was here, because I do think this was all one bull market, so very long lag phase, but I did count that. Even though it's an odd one out, our odd ones out I think should be considered in the data, right? There's another odd one out over here, December 2012. It was the December right after a halving. We've never had another December that was 1 month right after having after that. But either way, the outliers are still in there. All I'm trying to say is we had 7 green ones, 4 red ones, and 4 neutral ones throughout Bitcoin's whole existence. But for the bull runs specifically, Bitcoin has actually never had a red December. Right? This was it. This is the one time we had a red December. This one kind of exception one, and that was negative 5%. So that's actually a neutral month by my definition. So we've had 7 green Decembers in a bull run and 2 neutral Decembers in a bull run throughout Bitcoin's whole history. That's a total of 9 Decembers, right? We went from a total of 9 Decembers the total Decembers Bitcoin's had in its entire existence is actually 15 Decembers, not including this one so far, right? This is its 16th. But out of its bull runs, it's had 9, okay? Out of the 15 total Decembers, Bitcoin's had green Decembers. It's been 7 green Decembers, okay? Out of Bitcoin's whole history of having Decembers in bull runs, it's been 7 green Decembers. So essentially every green December that Bitcoin has ever had has happened in the middle of a bull run. Is what I'm trying to say here, right? Grand finale. Every green December that's ever existed in Bitcoin's history has happened in a bull run. We're in a bull run now. We are in a election year, right? If we go back and measure actually every election year, let's see. Can I get cyclical lines? Is it this one? Yeah, cyclical. Right here, December 2012, and then we go to December 2014, or no, 2016, sorry. December 2016, so that's cyclical, right? Green month here, but neutral, 7%. Green month here, 30.7%. Green month here, 47%, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a green month here, right? The last 2 election cycles, we had a 30 and a 47% month open to close, let alone the highest price that it actually achieved. And the only time that we saw something lesser than a 30% growth overall was this one exception of a December that happened not just a month after our halving, but our halving in this year, it happened in November 28th, 2012. So you didn't move up that much because you just had your halving. You just had a very significant event. Buy the hype, sell the news. People were probably waiting to see what Bitcoin would do, right? It was very early phases, just weird stuff. But nevertheless, these are the results on the election year post-halving move Decembers that we've seen. Generally pretty good, right? And especially not just the December, but each January that follows, you can see 51% up. This January here, it was red, but from the open of the month, you did move a total of 19%, 20% up first. You moved 20% up before you moved down, so the move did continue after that. This December here, election December, you did continue to move up afterwards on that January. I think it's very statistically probable that not just by the end of this month will we have a price prediction that I'm going to accurately predict here. We haven't even gotten to that yet, but it won't stop there. The move, the price that I'm calling for by the end of this month is not the end of this move. It's near the end of it, but the end I think is going to come in January. And when I say the end of this move, I don't mean a cycle end. I just mean like I don't know. This was the end of that move, or that was that was a little bit overdrawn. This was the end of that move, right? This was the end of that move right there, and then you consolidated. This was the end of that move, then you consolidated, then you moved up here. That was the end of that move, right? I just mean when I say the end of this move, I don't mean a huge drawback. I just mean a momentary pullback. Will probably be in January. But let's continue. Hope I haven't lost any of you. If I haven't, hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you haven't. 96.7K right now is the price. Okay. I went through and I ran some numbers. And what I did was I wrote down every single percentage that we've had from an open to closing price in December's for Bitcoin's history. Just bull market Decembers. I went through and I got the average. Okay, so I added up the total, right? There were 8 months that closed positively, 1 month that closed negatively, right? That 1 month was here. The average that I got was 27.61%. So from every December that Bitcoin's ever had in a Bitcoin bull market, I took the percentages down. I wrote a list down. I did the math. I crunched the average out. It's not that hard to do. It was just annoying to write it all down, right? I didn't want to bore you guys with it, but here I am boring you with my words. It's a lot less boring than running through everything else, trust me. But the average that we had for December's was 27.61%. So and that's from an open to closing basis. I did go through and get the average for the open to high basis also, right? In case you don't know why that might be significant, right? This percentage that I'm going off of right now, the 27.61%, that's a measure off the open price to the close price, right? So it would only include this data. I did another set of averages, right? And I went through and I went from the open price to the overall high price, right? Because December, if I just go from the open to close price, I'm getting the 39%. That's nice, but I'm not seeing all the growth that happened in December. And just wait, there's more exciting things besides that as well. But anyways, the percentage from an overall open to close, what we would expect to see for December, based on a percentage basis alone, would be 27.61%. So by the end of this month, if we were to do an average December move, apparently, we would see December close something around 125K. And I very much expect and believe this to be the case. I think that'll be the case. And here's the real shit of it, right? I actually think we're not going to see 125K by the end of December. I think we will by the end of it. But I also think we'll see it in the first 2 weeks. I think we're actually going to make what I think is going to happen for December, guys. And this is where this kind of prediction might not be accurate. Okay, this is a little bit more pinpointy instead of just the overall month. I'm going through and navigating the specifics of the month. But I think we put a line right here in the middle of December, in the 5th to the 15th here. I think what we're going to do is maybe not this whole time move up, but we will move up somewhere between now and by the 15th of December. We'll move up to this area, maybe even higher, and then we'll start to consolidate. And as we come to the end of December, we'll get that Santa Claus rally and start to move up. I think we will close the end of December here, but I think the close might come off as some kind of double top. That's my prediction. I think what I'm trying to say is we're looking at this month right now, right? We're looking at this monthly close potential based off the average, that December could close 27% to the upside. I'm sorry, I took it from the open here. I don't think that's right. I should probably take it from here because this is the index. They do this weird gap thing every time. I don't know why, but 27.6%, it should give us a different number now, actually. 27.6, pretty close right there. 123K. 123K makes a lot of sense from a high to a low. You literally go up to your 2272 right there. Bitcoin loves its 2272s. It's a fan of that. You tore right through your 1618. The minimum target would be at least the 1886, but likely the 2272 to the 2618 would come on the table. And a little spoiler for January, I think that could be our high in January. Okay, that could be the high of this move overall. Just a little spoiler there. That price, for those of you who aren't looking at it, it's 142K. Not by the end of December though. So again, like I said, it's a little spoiler. Hold on. Oh, okay. We haven't even gotten to the exciting stuff yet, guys, right? This might seem boring, but I don't know about you guys. I get where this might seem boring, but this is actually kind of exciting to me. This is what I love to do. But the exciting stuff, the really exciting stuff, hasn't even been said yet, right? So all we're doing right now is, again, measuring from an open to close what the average would be. And that'd be right coincidentally from our high to low here, 2272 of this extension here, right at 123, right? That's literally where our average move would take us, coincidentally right here to this very significant fib level. And again, this is not the overall move for December. This is just where we would expect to close. I've gone further. I've gone a step further and divulged that I expect we're actually going to make this move not by the end of the month, but by like the very first couple of weeks here. I think by the middle of the month we'll be up here, and then we probably pull back to 110, 105 by the middle of December to finish up the month, moving back up, and then going into January, moving up higher. That's kind of my thoughts as to what's going to happen. All right, I don't normally give this kind of specific intraday, intra-week stuff, but that is what I'm expecting to happen. I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but my kind of grandiose call at the moment is that we will form some kind of double top by the end of December. We'll have a double top look, and I don't think that we will. I don't think it'll pull back. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that we'll have our high, and then going into the end of the month, it'll look like we have a double top. It'll look like we're set up to go down, but we won't go down. We'll actually continue to go up in through January is my thoughts. But anyways, without repeating that too many more times, okay, going back to the monthly look. That's our open to closing price. Now I have the average for the overall from open to high price. Okay, so the average maximum growth that we've seen, right, in any bull market December, the average maximum growth that we've seen in just the bull markets was 36.8%. So this would imply that the highest price we could see based on any average December that we've seen before, right, the highest price that we would see would likely be something around here. Let's see, come on. Right around there, around 132K. And personally, I really do think that could happen. I think that 132K, that 123 to 132K, I think that could be what we see in the first half of December. Again, this is the high. This is the high move. Okay. Every December, what I did was I went through and I measured from an open to a close. I got that, and then I went through and I measured from an open to the high. Okay, and that's what this is. So the open to close average would be at 123. The open to high average would be 132. If we have a high at 132, that would imply that we came down, right? Which fits very well with the kind of idea that I'm spinning for December, that we move up first in the first half very fast, and then we probably consolidate through the halfway point going into Christmas, and then we have our Santa Claus rally. I bet by the time the week of Christmas comes around, there's going to be a lot of fear in the markets. Watch it happen. There's going to be a lot of fear in the markets. People are going to think the Santa Claus rally isn't going to happen, and then at the last minute, or at least right whenever there seems to be a high amount of despair, that's when we're going to move up. That's when we'll move up. Watch that not happen at all. Watch us just be holly and jolly all of December. I would love that. But I think what's going to happen is if we're expected to have a high on average of 132K, but then we're supposed to close on average at 123K, a whole 10K lower, that tells me we're going to have a correction in the middle of December. And that makes a lot of sense. And here's another thing that we did, right? Here's where things get really cool. Which lines up very well with my theory that we're going to move up in the first half of December, pull back, and then close December bullish. We're going to move up, closing December bullish, not finishing our move, but in the midst of our move up. The closing of December will be in the midst of this next move up, all right? And here's my proof, okay? I went through and I took a December here. I went through, that's 2010, that's 2011. I'm on a weekly basis here. I went through every last week of December. That's what these lines are. Every last week of December that Bitcoin's ever had. We're only going to analyze the bull market ones, okay? So it's not that much, but here you can see, and I'll delete this real quick and bring it back. You can see this month, this December here, you had a Maruba Zoo, essentially, right? You move straight up. There's no wicks, right? You didn't pull back. You didn't have a wick like this. You didn't top off on your last week of December and then pull back. No, your last week of December was here. You closed bullish, right? Full body close. Okay. You go to your next one. Hold on. Let's go back here. You go to your next one over here, right? This is a bull market December as well. You had the same exact thing. Full body close, right? No, very small wick to the upside. You can barely see that nub there, but full body close. You see what I'm saying here, right? Go into the next one. This December, neutral December, definitely a neutral one. But even that December, look at it. Look at the little wick. Look at it. It came up to close very last week of December, right? Right there. Or I guess that was the 31st. So maybe that's not as good of an example. But again, this was that post-halving December. Okay. I do want to go back real quick. I think this was actually January. I'm sorry. This was actually January. These lines aren't perfect, but this was the week of December. Small wick, but again, you didn't pull back during your last week of December. You had a body close, a very strong, like most of this candle is body. The biggest wick is to the downside, not to the upside. So your last week of December, you moved up, persisting higher going into January. That's the whole idea, right? You close it up, persisting higher going into January. Not a bull market. We won't concern ourselves with it. Bull market one here. You did close up and persisted higher into January for however brief of a time, I will admit. But that did happen there. Here, last week of December, right here, right there, closed it to the upside, right? Persisting higher in January, right? In January, you went another, that very next week of January, you went up another 16%. All right, 16% doesn't sound like a lot. We're dealing with 130K. 16% is like a 20K move, you guys. Okay, so that would take us from 130 to 150K. That's a big deal. Okay, going to this. Let's see. That's not a bull market December there. I mean, it was technically, but not at that point. The bull market was over, so I'm not going to include it. This was a bull market December, and for once, we actually did not close the week bullish. It was the next week that we closed bullish, and we actually even pulled back. So this is a bit of an outlier here. Debatably, the bull market hadn't started till over here, really, though, right? We're in this kind of crab market phase. Debatably. Here, red December, another kind of outlier, but the wick is bigger to the downside. You did come back up, and then persisting higher in January still, right? Persisting higher in January still. Here, bull market December. Last week of December was here, and look at that. You filled a little bit of a wick to the upside. I'll be fair, a little bit more than what we normally see, but still predominant body. Very predominant body. We're going to keep going. We're almost done. That's a December there. Again, I wouldn't call that the bull market yet, but it did close upwards. It was a very neutral week, but that was the last week of December there. Last week of December here. Nope, that wasn't it. That would have been this month or this week here. And this one did not close bullishly, but we did persist higher going into January still, right? So even the ones, we had like 3 outliers, even those ones that were outliers where we didn't have a bullish finish in December, like the last week of December didn't have a body close, right? It wasn't a red week. It wasn't a wicked week, right? Something like this, right? Or like that. It was a predominant body close to the upside, right? And the times that we've had exceptions where that wasn't the case, which is like 3, each one of those 3 times we still did persist higher into January every single time. So essentially the idea that I'm trying to form here is that I do believe that however high the price goes for this month of December, maybe it goes as high as 132, maybe it goes as high as 150, maybe it only goes to 120, however high it goes, it will likely persist higher into January. And I'm not going to give too much stuff because actually I'm already working on the January analysis video. It's going to be more of like a roadmap to 2025 video. But I've been working on some stuff, and there's definitely some interesting things, guys, that suggest that the first quarter and even past the first quarter of 2025 are going to be absurdly bullish, you guys, absurdly bullish. Not just for Bitcoin, for all of crypto, right? That's why we focus on Bitcoin, because what's good for Bitcoin is good for everything else. But essentially, and I'd like to wrap this video up in the most plain way that I possibly can, is that I think, based off of the data that we have here, it's very, very likely that we will see December achieve a price, and here we are, right? This is my moment, right? every time I make these videos in September, I was the guy. We were at the lows, or not even at the lows. I think we were at the beginning of September. Everyone was calling it for it to go down. I was like, it's likely actually going to be a neutral month, and I did say it would close green. I thought it would close more than 10% to the upside. But I did say in that video, you can even watch it yourself, I said the analysis would suggest a green month or a neutral month, less than 10% to the upside or to the downside, and I think that it would be green. That's what the analysis suggested. I said my gut feeling said it'd be a green month, but more than 10% to the upside. But the analysis was right here. On this month, and everybody was calling for a bloodbath in September. On October, everybody, while we were on the down part of October, that first like week period, where we pulled back, we were literally below 60K. Everyone's like, everybody jinxed October. They said it was October, now we're going to go down. It was at that moment when everyone was capitulating. I made a video saying, I think we're going to see new all-time highs by the end of October, right? That was my big call. We did not see new all-time highs by the end of October, but we got really close, right? I was probably the only person making that call down at these levels. There's a reason. I'm not saying this to brag. There's a reason for it right now. I'm going to bring it all together at the end of it, right? In November, when we were below 70K, I think we were even below 68K. I was probably the only person on YouTube that said we would be above 100K by the end of November. Were we above 100K by the end of November? No, but we got pretty damn close. Again, not 100% right, but I think that's an A paper, right? I got a 90% on my test, maybe not 100%, but at least a 90%, right? I don't feel like I'm being unfair by saying that. And again, nobody was calling for 100K. Even though I got it wrong, nobody was calling for 100K by the end of the month. Nobody thought it was possible. Before anybody thought it was possible, because of these monthly analyses, we were aware that this was not just a possibility, but a likelihood that was going to happen, right? I was saying it for weeks, for days. I even said it before the month of November started. The reason why I'm saying all that now is because this is my big call. And it's probably going to be anticlimactic because, right, it's not as cool as new all-time highs, breaking above 100K, but this is my big call that probably nobody else in the markets is calling for. And I shouldn't say nobody. We have more euphoria. We have more bullishness now. I'm sure there's people with even crazier calls than this at this point in time, right? We are in a breakout move, but here's my call that I think you're not going to find most of the markets saying by the end of December, is that I think we will be at the highest somewhere around 130 to 140K. Specifically, if I really had to guess, I would say 132K. That's the high of the month. So with how I've gone over the past couple months, expect it to be just below 130K. If I'm saying 132K, maybe it goes to 131.5K, right? You know what I mean? But that's the estimated prediction. Being that the close to high estimate is at 123, and that is also at the 2272. I'm not gonna mess with that at all. I actually like that a lot. I think we will close the month at 123.4K, and I'm doing one even more. Right here's the real pizzazz of it all. I think we're gonna see this move here, the height of December. I think it's gonna come in the first half of December, right? If not the first half, like near the first half, right? If it's not by the 15th, maybe at least by the 20th, whatever, we make that move. Then we consolidate before Christmas, and then once Christmas hits, or at least the week of Christmas, that's when we rally into the end of the month, coming back up. I think we will probably close the month around 120 to 125, specifically at 123, and we'll have this double top look, but it won't stop there because, again, we just went through and found that every single December normally closes bullish on its last week, and not only does it close bullish, but it persists higher into that January. So I don't think we'll get a double top. I do think in January we'll probably see this price, if not higher. That's for another video, little spoiler there, but that's kind of the overall idea, right? If we move up to just above the 2272, the only area that we would likely find support at would be between the 200 and the 1886. We could find support right at the 2272, but then then things would be really bull. I don't know. That would be really cool, but I don't know if we're going to see that. But that's really all I got to say, guys. I don't know if I have anything else that I want to say. I hope I didn't lose anybody. If I did, just rewatch the video a couple times until it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, ask questions in the comments, leave remarks in the comments, things that you've noticed that I might have missed. That could help with this analysis, right, going forward. This is, I have to say, out of all the calls, out of all the bold calls, quote unquote, that I've made for each monthly analysis, this is the one that I feel like is a little bit more specific. So it could be wrong, right? It's a little bit more specific, but I do think these overall closing high targets and the overall high target of Bitcoin by the end of December, I think those are pretty accurate. Again, they might not be 100% accurate, but if it was a graded test, I'm confident that these answers would get you a 90+% on your exam. So again, closing at 123, that's the prediction. Closing the month of December at 123 with a high above 130. And then taking a little bit more specific than that, right? Just at face value, that's the prediction, right? And it could happen in any kind of way, but what I'm thinking is going to happen is we hit that 130, 140 area in the first half of the month. We consolidate in the halfway point of the month, and then to the second half of the month / the last like couple weeks of December, that's when we rip and we return back to the 120K area, 130K area, and persist higher going into January. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.